The exhaust gas economizer explained is a forced circulation multi-loop type boiler. On board ships where the large quantity of steam is required from waste heat recovery system, the exhaust gas economizer is fitted in the main engine uptake. Separate oil-fired boilers are required to supply steam when main engine is not running. Circulating pumps ensure forced circulation of the feed water by taking feed water from oil-fired boiler and discharging it into exhaust gas heat exchanger tubes to receive heat from main engine exhaust. Steam drum of the auxiliary boiler acts as a common steam receiver from exhaust gas heat exchanger and oil-fired boiler. The amount of steam produced is controlled by regulating the amount of exhaust flowing through the exhaust uptake, or dumping the excess steam produced into the condenser. A typical layout of auxiliary boiler system is shown. The fuel oil pump takes suction from the diesel oil service tank or heavy oil service tank through the three-way changeover valve. The pressurized oil is supplied to the boiler burner through a solenoid valve. The pilot burner is fired first to light up the main burner. A flame sensor senses the flame of the pilot burner and actuates the fuel oil solenoid valve for the main burner. Feed water pump takes suction from the hot well and discharges to the boiler drum through feed water regulator. The feed water regulator maintains the water level in the boiler according to the steam demand. Before starting the boiler, you have to carry out a few checks. Check whether all mountings are fitted in place. Check whether all inspection doors are fitted back. Shut the main steam stop valve. Open the air purge valve. Open the feed water pump suction valve, delivery valve, and boiler feed water valves. Start the feed water pump and fill the boiler up to 1/4 of the gauge glass manually. Stop the pump. Position the changeover valve to pass diesel oil. Open the fuel oil pump suction and delivery valves. Open the heater bypass valve. Close the heater inlet and outlet valves. The boiler has to be fired manually for a short duration at regular intervals to warm it up. If fired continuously, thermal stresses will be induced on the shell. Start the fuel oil pump. Start forced draft fan. Wait for at least 3 minutes to purge out the furnace space. Press the ignition button to ignite the pilot burner. Start the main burner in manual mode. As the main burner lights up, stop pressing the ignition button. Stop the main burner after 30 seconds of firing. The boiler has to be warmed up according to the maker's recommendations. As the boiler warms up, the water level rises in the gauge glass. After the water level stabilizes, start the feed water pump and put the regulator in use. Steam will start blowing out through the air purge valve. Shut the air purge valve. Fire the burner in auto mode. It will cut off at the set value of 9 bar. Crack open the main steam stop valve. Gradually open the main steam stop valve to fully open position. The burner will start firing automatically as pressure in steam drum reduces. The boiler is changed over from diesel oil to fuel oil, as steam is available for heating the fuel oil. Heat the fuel oil service tank to 80 degrees Celsius. Open the heater inlet and outlet valves. Close the heater bypass valve. Open the heater steam valves. Steam pressure is maintained by automatic operation of the burner. Pressure switch controls the burner according to the set pressure values. Alarms are provided to warn the operator of low and high steam pressures. Fuel oil temperature is maintained at the required value for proper combustion automatically. It is done by controlling the flow of steam to the heater. The local temperature gauge should be checked periodically. The feed water regulator maintains the water level in the boiler at half the gauge glass level. A water level sensor sends the signal to a controller which controls the feed water regulator. The boiler feed water pump runs continuously. If the water level decreases below the set value, an alarm is sounded to warn the operator. However, the water level of the level gauge mounted on the boiler should be checked periodically. Close the main steam stop valve. The burner will cut off when the steam pressure reaches the set limit. Change over the burner to manual mode. Stop the fuel oil feed pump. If the boiler is shut down for longer duration, then it should be changed over to diesel oil before stopping the pump. Stop the feed water pump. Change over the burner to manual from auto. The high-level water alarm is activated when the water level in the boiler increases above the set value. The low water level alarm is activated when the water level in the boiler decreases below the set value. The low water level trip will stop the firing of boiler if the boiler water level falls below the set limit. The boiler feed water low temperature alarm is activated when feed water temperature decreases below the set value. The boiler feed water low pressure header alarm is activated when boiler feed water header pressure decreases below set value. The high salinity alarm is activated when water salinity rises above the set ppm limit. The high steam drum pressure alarm is activated when the steam pressure increases above the set value. The low steam drum pressure alarm is activated when the steam pressure decreases below the set value. The combustion air low flow alarm is activated when the combustion air flow decreases below the set value. The low atomizing steam pressure alarm is activated when the atomizing steam pressure decreases below the set value. The low atomizing steam pressure trip is activated when the atomizing steam pressure decreases below the set limit and the boiler operation will be stopped. The low control air pressure trip is activated when the control air pressure drops below set limit and the boiler operation will be stopped. The low fuel oil pressure alarm is actuated when fuel oil pressure decreases below the set value. The low fuel oil pressure trip is actuated when the fuel oil pressure decreases below the set limit and the operation of the boiler will be stopped. The high fuel oil temperature alarm is actuated when fuel oil temperature increases above the set value. The low fuel oil temperature alarm is actuated when the fuel oil temperature decreases below the set value. The low fuel oil temperature trip is actuated when fuel oil temperature decreases below the set limit and the operation of the boiler will be stopped. If the fuel oil pump fails, it will actuate the trip and boiler firing will be stopped. If the forced draft fan fails, it will actuate the trip and boiler firing will be stopped. The flame failure trip is actuated on failure of flame, and the boiler operation will be stopped. The flame scanner failure trip will stop boiler operation. The high smoke alarm is actuated when the smoke levels raise above the set limit. Pilot burner ignition fail trip is actuated when pilot burner fails and boiler operation is stopped. Main burner ignition fail trip is actuated when main burner fails and boiler operation is stopped. The power source failure trip will shut down the boiler. Process of blowing through boiler gauge glass. Close the steam and water side valves and open the drain valve. Blow through the steam side by opening the upper steam valve for a few seconds, then close. Blow through the water side by opening the lower water valve for a few seconds and close. Close the drain valve. Open the water valve, followed by the steam valve. For the safety of personnel, gauge glass cocks can be operated remotely. This is in the event of the breakage or crack of gauge glass, which can lead to injury of personnel in the vicinity.